good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all doing well. Oh dear, this is bad. This is really, really bad. This is just, I don't know, senseless violence for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And because of that, a little 5-year-old boy lost his life in the most horrendous of ways. It doesn't bear thinking about. Anyhow, a couple of days ago, the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Sarah and Stacey Wondra came out. So Sarah has been arrested. Less fanfare, I guess, for Sarah. Like everybody was talking about Stacey being arrested because he just got out of federal prison. He was released on the 30th of October and promptly rearrested. And then he was extradited back from Arizona, where he was residing, to Idaho. But Sarah Wondra has also been arrested. I'm going to be reading Stacey's probable cause affidavit. Sarah's got a separate one. I haven't actually gone through and checked that Stacey and Sarah's are word for word the same. I think there might be some slight differences, just in, tweaking certain paragraphs to make it relevant to just Sarah. But I'm reading Stacey's. Stacey's is horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And I know that a couple of people, at least 2 I saw live last night, have read this already, done a read through of it. So if you've already heard it, then you'll know what I'm talking about when I say it's just horrendous and it doesn't bear thinking about. But some of you won't. Some of you won't have heard it. I wasn't going to read it through. If anybody saw the little video that I put online, I recorded it like 3:30 my time. I'd read this probable cause affidavit yesterday and it festered. It just festered in my brain and I couldn't sleep. So at 3:30, I decided to go out for a walk. So I was out maybe 20 minutes, I don't know, and did a little 7-minute ramble while I was out there. And then I came home and I went to sleep. So I have slept for a few hours, but I wasn't going to read this because I just didn't want to voice it. I didn't want to read it out loud. However, there are people who absolutely believe that Stacey and Sarah Wondra and Brandon Shirtliff and Adrian Lucian are innocent. So I'm going to do everything in my power to let people know the details, the actual truth about what's gone down here. And clearly, the cops have kept things very, very close to the vest because there's stuff in this probable cause affidavit that I didn't know, that wasn't public. And I've been following this case since day one. I mean, literally day one. I remember seeing the first news reports and the reporters standing down the end of Michael's street. And Michael's street has a field at the end of it. And it had all crops in it. Like I can visualize it. Like the reporters standing there at the end of the street with the crops in the background and kind of walking up and down that area. So the fact that I followed this, followed every development, followed everything, there's details here I didn't know. And yeah, the cops have played a blinder. They've kept things very, very close to the vest. And the fact that Stacey Wondra has had the audacity, like the disgusting toad that he is, to come on numerous YouTube channels speaking absolute complete garbage. I want everybody to know. I want everybody to know what they did and how horrible it is to read it. how horrible it is to visualize it, to empathize with what Michael went through, to feel so sorry for his family. Now these details are out. I mean, there's no hiding for them, is there? They've lived this for the last 4 and some years. This has been going on since July 27th, 2021. Michael's family have lived this. Now, I don't know how much they knew of these details beforehand. I feel so sorry for them, and I can appreciate if they don't want these details out there. But now that they are out there, I want everybody to know, so that the people who think that these 4 absolute scumbags are innocent can go away and I don't know what they need to do. They just need to go away, give their head a wobble, come back and say, look, let's look at the facts, because the facts speak for themselves. The facts speak for themselves. So I'm not going to say loads. I'm just going to get straight into it because I just need to do this. It's not long. It's about 7 pages. So it's not long. And I'm just going to read it in its entirety. I'm going to point out the bits I didn't know. And I'm going to point out the bits where clearly Stacey Wondra, in the disgusting way that he tried to garner support on YouTube, lied. Okay. I, Detective Juanita Kelleher, the undersigned, being first duly sworn on oath, deposes and says, Ella's scratching the door downstairs. I might have to let her upstairs, which is a bad idea. I'm a peace officer employed by the Fruitland Police Department. The defendant is alleged to have committed the following crimes between the dates of approximately July 27th through 2021 through 2025. So disposing of evidence, they don't know when that happened, so they're keeping it open. First degree murder, kidnapping second degree, destruction or concealment of evidence. So those are the charges. There's a separate charging document that I'm not going to read, but there is a separate charging document with the charges on. The crimes were not committed in my presence. I believe that there is probable cause to believe the defendant committed such crimes because of the following facts. Note, you must state the source of all information provided below, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here it is. Here are the details. I'm just going to go and let Ella upstairs, or else she's going to drive me insane. And then I'm going to end up shouting at her because she'll be chewing something. Ella. Right, do you want to behave while you're up here? I know what you want to do. You want to chew carpet. I know exactly what you want to do. All right, so we've got Ella in the room. On July 27th, 2021, neighbours reported seeing 5-year-old Michael Joseph Vaughan between approximately 6:15 and 6:30 p.m. So this is all in military time. I'm just going to translate it, I guess, because not everybody uses military time. In the area of Michael's home and nearby residents on Southwest 9th Street and South Arizona in Fruitland, Piatt County, Idaho, Michael knocked on some of his neighbours' doors, attempting to play with neighbours or in their yards. Michael was told to return home by all of the neighbours he contacted. So we knew that. We knew that numerous neighbours had told him to go home, and I think one neighbour actually took him back, walked him back to his yard, but he didn't go in. He wanted to play out. It was a warm evening. He just wanted to find some friends. At approximately 6:45, so between 6:45 and 6:50, Tyler Vaughan noticed that his 5-year-old son, Michael, was missing from their home in Fruitland. Tyler began searching his home and property for Michael. Tyler called 911 to report his son missing at approximately 7:21 p.m. and the Fruitland Police Department responded to the area, and they responded very, very quickly. So the first responders were on scene within minutes. So it was a very quick turnaround. From Tyler realizing that Michael was missing, you're looking at probably about maybe 40 minutes before the cops were called, and very quickly then on scene. Fruitland Police Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, along with other local agencies and volunteers, searched for Michael over several weeks and now years. Michael's body has never been recovered. Through interview searches and other corroborating evidence, all of Michael's family and household members have been determined to not have any knowledge of Michael's current location, nor were they involved in Michael's disappearance. Take that to the bank. Quote that paragraph for everybody who is online, whether it be YouTube, TikTok, or any other platform, saying that the family are involved in some way, making snide comments about the family being involved and supporting these absolute lowlifes. Take that paragraph and shove it up their ass, or whatever it is you need to do to get them to realise. I'm trying not to get mad, but it's infuriating. Infuriating. All right, all of Michael's neighbours on Southwest 9th in Arizona have also been thoroughly investigated, searched and interviewed, and have been determined by law enforcement to not have any knowledge or any involvement in Michael's disappearance. The surrounding area was searched extensively, and Michael has never been found. Okay, now, this surprised me. This was the first thing that really shook me, because cops had the Wanderers and that house, 1102 Red Wing Street, on their radar within days of Michael going missing. I had no idea that that had happened. I thought that it was several months after the, you know, as part of that investigation, when they had the Honda Pilot that was a suspicious vehicle that they couldn't trace initially, and then the man walking along, you know, he's spotted in a couple of locations. Brandon Shirtliff, spoiler alert, comes later, has admitted that that was indeed him. So that man, the shots of that man, you know, it's stills from surveillance, people's surveillance cameras that Chief Huff released at the year mark, was Brandon Shirtliff. So, but it shocked me that they knew about the Wanderers, and it was a dog. It was a dog that led them there. It was a dog that led them there. So, listen, people who say that search dogs get things wrong, well, sometimes they do. Sometimes they miss stuff, right? Because they're not computers. But this is how good dogs are, and how invaluable dogs are in all manner of different ways in policing. Live Scent Tracker K9 team searched the surrounding neighbourhoods August 2nd, 3rd, 2021, using a pair of Michael's shoes for Michael's scent. So he went missing on the 27th. So we're looking at what? 8, 30, 31, 1, 2, 6 days. 6 days to a week. So using a pair of Michael's shoes for Michael's scent out of approximately 300 homes. So they walk the dog, I'm assuming more than one dog, but they walk the dogs around the neighbourhoods. Because remember, Red Wing Street is in the general vicinity of Michael's home. It's about half a mile away. Like if you walk it by road. I think it's 0.4 miles, I think it is, if you walk it by road. Out of 300 homes that K9 handlers reported, the dogs only showed interest in one house, located at, guess where? The Wanderers' home. This is the home of Stacey and Sarah Wondra. 1102 Redwing Street. A canine handler also reported that canine Banshee, great name for a dog, showed interest in the area of the corner of Meadowlark and Redwing Street. So Redwing Street kind of goes around the corner. I'll just get the map up just quickly here, just to show you. Fruitland. There's a lot of fruitlands in the United States. All right, here's Fruitland. Where are we at here? Oh, wrong one. I've got a bit disoriented here. Where am I? I think I'm in the wrong town. Am I in the wrong town? I am. I'm in the wrong town. Sorry, guys. Fruitland, Idaho. Okay. I was in the right town. I'll just plug in the actual address. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, Michael's home's here. Redwing Street is here. This is where the house is. So you've got Mallard. It actually calls itself Mallard, but this is Redwing Street. Okay. And then Meadowlark's here. So the corner of Redwing and Meadowlark's will be here. This area. Okay. So canine handler also reported that canine Banshee showed interest in the area of the corner of Meadowlark and Redwing Street. The canine showed interest at the intersection and then headed straight to the fence and front door of the Wanderer's residence. So the dog actually tracked to their house. To their house. This is the house. You'll remember it. You'll remember this, won't you? If you sat there day after day while they excavated this entire backyard. We sat there day after day after day in November of 2022. Yeah, remember that? Okay. On August 2nd, 2021, Canine Banshee track sent down to a tree over the edge of the bluff off of Southwest 8th and Three Rivers Way. So this is like a week after. This is a good dog. So Southwest 8th is this one. And then Three Rivers Way is this one. I think Three Rivers Way, yeah. So showed interest in this area here. Ella, what are you doing? She's dragged out Kyle's suitcase. Like, I do these live streams in my little back room, which is like a junk room. Like, we put all sorts of crap in it. You know, like stuff that you don't use on a daily basis, like suitcases and stuff like that. And she's managed to like drag one. It's got stuff in it as well. Oh, well. So in this area, Southwest 8's here, and then Three Rivers is here. Okay. Canine Banshee was determined to track the scent into the thorny bushes under the tree, despite the thorns. A discarded child's stroller was located deep in those thorny bushes. On August 5th, a pink Big Flyer tricycle was located behind the bluff sign at Three Rivers Way and Southwest 8th. During a search of the same area the day prior, the tricycle was not there. So this area don't know. So this area, so this is Three Rivers here. Three Rivers. And then Southwest 8. So they would have had a big search here in this area. Ella, you're going to have to go down if you don't stop wrecking my room. Ella, enough. Ella, enough. And you bringing her upstairs would be a bad idea. Bear with me. Right, move that out of the way so she can't get it. Right, you can play with that. Good stuff. Let me know if it gets really annoying. I'll take her down. But then we'll have to put her with wine. It's because Noodle's up here and Cassie, so she wants to come up. Okay, so this area. So they located a tricycle. Where was I? Oh, yeah. During a search of the same area the day prior, the tricycle was not there. Jim Smith, who lives in the Three Rivers subdivision, later reported that he found the tricycle over the bluff under a tree next to a child's stroller. Jim said he took it home to use one of the wheels for another project, but then discarded it after not removing the wheel as planned. Jim said he left it behind the bluff sign for neighbourhood kids to use. So the tricycle would have been there, except Jim took it home because he wanted to use one of the wheels, but decided not to and then took it back and just left it for local kids to play with. So the tricycle has probably been discarded earlier. Kim Elko would later report to law enforcement that she had seen the tricycle in the Wanderers' garage. So I don't know who Kim Elko is. I assume this is somebody who knows the Wanderers. During a yard sale in the spring of 2021. So spring of 2021, so that would be in the months before Michael was abducted. Elko was able to describe the layout of the Wanderers' garage and where she saw the tricycle on a stack of boxes. The described stack of boxes was still there during a later search warrant of the Wanderers' residence. Ella, right, seriously, I'm going to have to take her down. She's going to wreck my room. She's wrecking the place. Please hold. Good grief. Never work with children or animals. Okay, so that was the Wanderers tricycle. So had they given it Michael to play with? Is that how they encouraged him to go with them? Don't know. Dorothy Starkey, who was present at blank in Fruitland, reported on July 29, 2021, that she saw Michael. She actually saw Michael riding the big wheel tricycle at the corner of Red Wing Street and Meadowlark Avenue, so exactly where K9 Banshee picked up a scent. He sent Bernard loves watching videos with you. That's funny. Oh, she's kicking off downstairs now. Okay, so somebody called Dorothy, who presumably must live in the Red Wing area saw Michael. So July 29th, she reported it and saw him riding a tricycle. Exactly where Canine Banshee alerted and tracked all the way to the Wanderer's house. Damn. Oh dear. On July 27th, as she was either entering or leaving the neighbourhood. Dorothy. So they checked out Dorothy. Dorothy is seen on surveillance videos coming into the neighbourhood westbound on Southwest 8th at 18:25 hours and left the neighbourhood eastbound on Southwest 8th at 19:25 hours. So that's 25 past 6 and 25 past 7 in the evening. So she's coming in. So this is Southwest 8th here. Just turn it around. This is Southwest 8th. Now, there's only one way into this neighbourhood. So into Michael's neighbourhood and into where the Wanderers live. You've got to come through here. So you've got to come down Southwest 8th. So she's coming westbound at 25 past 6. And then she's going back out an hour later, going eastbound. So she saw Michael on a tricycle playing in the area where Canine Banshee alerted, and it was the Wanderer's tricycle. What did they have a tricycle for? They don't have kids. What did they have the tricycle for? Other than Dorothy's report, there's no other reports of Michael being seen anywhere other than Southwest 9th Street and his next door neighbour's house in Arizona on the date of his disappearance. So I think they picked up Michael right there. I've always thought they picked up Michael, this area. So gone round here. I think they've spotted him. They've grabbed him. They've probably driven him to their house. And then, I don't know, they're letting him play on this tricycle. Did Michael leave on a tricycle? No. Michael was walking. The tricycle belonged to the Wanderers. They lured him. They probably lured him, like saying, what are you doing? Oh, we'll be your friend. We'll be your friend. Come on, we've got some stuff for you to play with. And they've probably given him the tricycle to play with. But things very, very, very quickly turned really dark. Video surveillance is gathered from security cameras in the neighbourhood Michael disappeared from, as well as neighbouring areas. Michael is never seen on any of the surveillance footage that was obtained. Yeah, because the Wanderers grabbed him. Stacey Wondra is captured on surveillance footage driving a white Lexus and pulling into the parking area of the splash pad in the neighbourhood off Southwest 8th Street at 23 minutes past 3 in the afternoon on July 27th. Now, if you've listened to Stacey's YouTube ramblings, you will know that he admits to stopping at the splash pad that afternoon, something about, I don't know, dropping his chewing tobacco, and because he's a big lad, having to get out and, pull off the road and get out and get it. But who knows? Stacey is seen exiting the driver's door, walking around to the passenger side of the car, and appears to be testing the exterior lock handle to see if it was locked. Okay, so he did get out. He knows he's on camera, made some excuse about his chewing tobacco falling down and him having to get out. But was he just checking that door locked so that if they stole a child, that they wouldn't be able to get out? I don't know. Stacey then walked back around the driver's side of the vehicle, got into the driver's seat and exited the area onto Southwest 8th at 15:24, so 24 minutes past 3, 1 minute after arriving. Video surveillance shows an adult male walking in the area of Three Rivers Way at 8 minutes past 6 on July 27th. The same male is captured walking in the area of the neighbourhood splash pad at 18 minutes past 6. The last image of the male is captured at 28 minutes past 6. So he's wandering about So 8 minutes past 6, 18 minutes past 6, and 28 minutes past 6. So he's out there for at least 20 minutes. So 3 rivers. So coming down here, and then in the splash pads here. So that's where Stacey stopped in the afternoon, and then it's where the man, Brandon Shirtliff, was captured on surveillance camera in this area. So he's walked round like this. Okay. Get this. Get this. Get this. So he's walked back through to the west towards the area in which the Wanderers lived. Brandon Shirtliff was identified in 2022 as being this person and told detectives during an interview that the surveillance video captured him as he was walking and searching for a missing child on the day that Michael disappeared. Well, how was he searching for a missing child a whole hour before Michael was even reported missing? So that's a lie. So Brandon Shirtliff has identified himself, but he's also told on himself. He's lied. Out and out lie, because Michael wasn't reported missing until 21 minutes past 7. So a whole hour later. So how did Brandon Shirtliff know there was a missing child an hour before? Like, look, at 18 minutes past 6, Michael was safe and well because, and even at 18:28, Michael was safe and well because that's the time when neighbours saw him outside. So Michael's not even missing at that point. Not just not reported missing, he's just not missing at that point. So I think Brandon Shirtliff is out there scouting about looking for kids. Looking for kids. Video captured Brandon walking prior to Michael being reported missing. Brandon reported he was living with the Wanderers on that date. Okay. On August 1st, 2021, Fruitland Police contacted the residents at Blanking Fruitland. On our initial search of the residents, they located Adrian Lucian hiding in a closet. So as early as August 1st, they were interested in this house, and Adrian Lucian was hiding in a closet. Why was Adrian Lucian hiding in a closet when he saw the cops coming? Is it because he thought he was going to be arrested? Why would he think he was going to be arrested? Oh, is it because he participated in the abduction and murder of Michael Joseph Vaughan? I wonder. Residents of the home on that date and July 27th, 2021 were identified as married couple Stacey and Sarah Wondra and their sublets Brandon Shirtliff and Adrian Lucian. All 4 were interviewed on August 1st of 2021. So it was actually a day before the dog Banshee tracked to the house. So this is the day before, so not sure. When I first read this is why it's important to read this multiple times. When I read this last night, I didn't clock the dates. So I assumed that a dog had led them to the address and then they knocked on the door. But no, the day before the dog track, because if you remember the dog, tracked on August 2nd. So in the neighborhood, August 2, 3. So I don't know why the police went there. There must have been a tip or something. I don't know. But the dog obviously reinforced that that's the residence that Michael most likely was at last. So Adrian's hiding in the closet. So all 4 were interviewed. Adrian was vague in his statements and wouldn't commit to a solid statement. He also refused to provide his social security number for identification confirmation. He provided Stacey's phone number as his own and concealed his real phone number from law enforcement. Okay. Then, August 21st, 2021, Sarah reported that on July 27th, 2021, so they're still interviewing them. So all throughout August, these people are being interviewed. Sarah reported that on July 27th, 2021, she and Stacey slept until noon. Sarah said they left their residence at around 5 p.m. to tow a vehicle to Cuna. Big lie, because Sarah had been out earlier in that day with Brandon and Adrian, and Stacey told people on YouTube that he did a taxi fare in the afternoon. But anyway, those details seem to be omitted. Sarah and Stacey denied they were home around 6:30 on July 27th. So, because you're on camera. Smile, you're on CCTV. Cell phone data, telephone tower data and surveillance footage shows Sarah, Stacey, Adrian and Brandon were in the area of their neighbourhood at the time of Michael's disappearance. Oh dear, never mind. Sarah, Adrian and Brandon returned to Fruitland, verified by surveillance, in Sarah's blue Toyota Corolla at 5:08, only to leave again at 4 minutes later, at 12 minutes past. That Toyota then came back into the neighbourhood at 17:56, which is nearly 6 p.m. So driving around. Why are they driving around? I don't know. I don't know why they're driving around, because shortly after that, when they get home, it's only a few minutes later that Brandon starts his walkabout in the neighbourhood. Surveillance footage shows Sarah driving the maroon GMC pickup on July 27th, 2021, as she drove out of the neighbourhood at 7:08. 7:08. So they were at home until they drove out of the neighbourhood at 7:08. Stacey has been identified in the front passenger seat, and Brandon was in the driver's rear side. So rear side, driver's side. Thank you, Blissful, for gifting 5 memberships. That's very kind of you. We've got Emily, Opal, CW, Robin, and Isolde Erin. So welcome you all. If you've never been a member before, and I know some of you have, then go and check out the members area. And thank you so much, Blissful, for being so kind. Okay. Adrian's phone did not provide any location data during the evening of July 27th. Oh, I wonder why. Maybe you turned it off. However, Adrian took a selfie in the guest bathroom at the Wanderers' residence at 7:26. So when you hear about what he's just done to Michael, then a short time later decides to take a selfie. Why? That's Kohlberger style creepy. I'm sorry, that is Kohlberger style creepy. Wanderers' maroon GMC pickup truck is captured on surveillance footage returning to their Fruitland neighbourhood at 11:22. So they get back into the neighbourhood from Cuna, which is about 50 miles south of Fruitland, at 11:22, pulling or towing a silver Mercedes-Benz. So it was true that they went to Cuna to get a vehicle for Brandon. Whatever else they did there, though, is the thing that is absolutely horrific. And I don't know whether they only told that as an alibi. Maybe they never intended to tow the truck, that car, but they decided to do that. I don't know. Maybe they were going to do that anyway. Anyway, following Michael's disappearance, Sarah had a distinct change in behaviour. Following Michael's disappearance, Sarah began to stand along the highway near Love's gas station in Ontario, Oregon, with a sign stating to repent your sins and that the end of time was near. So when these lowlives find God and they start preaching about the end times, what they're really talking about is the end time for them, because they expect to be arrested any day. Daughter of Scotland member for 51 months. That's incredible. An incredible run. 4 years and 3 months. You're my oldest member. My longest standing member. Okay. Sarah's social media posts on TikTok and Facebook also changed drastically to religion and asking for forgiveness. I've seen some of these TikToks, and honestly, she's an absolute wreck. Like, her mental health really is not good. Prior to Michael's abduction, Sarah had posted approximately 11 videos on TikTok over 3 years. Following Michael's abduction, Sarah posted approximately 329 videos from September 15th, 2021 through December 24, 2021. In TikTok videos Sarah made testimony statements regarding her involvement in criminal behaviours and stated she had broken all 10 of the 10 commandments. It should be noted that thou shalt not kill is one of the 10 commandments. Sarah also alleged in her videos that it did not matter what sins she had committed because God had forgiven her for all of them. They also all say that as well. They say that as well, that God's forgiven them because it's the only way they can cope in their head. And I hope she had an absolutely terrible time in her head. I hope her head battered her. It's the very least she deserves, Jesus. All right. Michael's missing person flyer can be seen on her refrigerator in the background of some of her videos. Yeah, it really was. I've got photos of them in the kitchen, and Michael's missing poster is there on their fridge. It's just the most horrific. I don't know whether it's because they're, I don't know, remembering or taunting, or I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Sarah was interviewed again by law enforcement on November 15th, 2021. Stacey was also interviewed after being confronted with the photo of her leaving the neighbourhood on July 27th, 2021, driving the GMC pickup at 19:08 hours, so 8 minutes past 7. Sarah changed her story and said she was driving the GMC to get Brandon's Mercedes-Benz from Cuna to tow it back to Fruitland. Sarah said the trip to Cuna to get the car had not been previously planned and that it was Stacey who wanted to go get the car at that time and date. Sarah said she stopped at Southwest 8th in South Arizona on the way out of the neighborhood to input the address into GPS. Okay. Brandon's in the car. Does he not know his mother's address or the way to his mother's house? Maybe not. I don't know. But they're stopping here. So Southwest 8th and South Arizona's here. So they stop in this area. Now, Stacey has said that they stopped to put power steering fluid in. What Sarah said is they stopped to input the address into GPS. But who knows? Who knows? All right. Sarah said she drove to 2518 North Snowbelt in Cuna, which is Brandon's mother's home. It's worth noting Brandon was in the truck with them when they entered the GPS coordinates to go to Brandon's mother's house, and that Sarah and Brandon's cell phone data showed them at the residence earlier that day. Sarah said Brandon's mother, Tina Moriel, was out of town. Sarah said Tina did not allow Brandon to have people in her home when she was not there. So Sarah and Stacey parked down the road and Brandon used a back gate on the south side to enter Tina's residence so that her doorbell camera did not capture him there. So Brandon did not want his mother to know that he'd been there. Now, is that because he wasn't allowed in that address? Because he'd been stealing off his mother? So she'd fallen out with him? Or was it because he didn't want his mother to know that he'd been there because he took Michael into that house in a duffel bag and he didn't want to have the questions asked? Now, remember, Stacey told YouTubers that there was a duffel bag with Brandon's clothes in it because he was going to do some laundry. Do you remember all this that Stacey said? And that the duffel bag wasn't big enough to fit a human in. And it had Brandon's clothes in because he had to go and do a load of laundry. Well, do they not have a washing machine at the Wanderer's address? Did he have to drive a 100-mile round trip to do a load of laundry? Really? Okay. Okay. As soon as the duffel bag was mentioned, I knew. And I knew. All right. Okay. Sarah reported that while towing the car back to Fruitland, the tow strap broke. Sarah and Stacey Wondra sold their phones, as you do, lost or sold their vehicles, as you do, and got rid of their furniture. So they sold the phones that they had at the time of Michael's abduction. They sold the vehicles that they had at the time of Michael's abduction and their furniture. Okay. Okay. Who sells the phone, the vehicle, and the furniture all at the same time? I guess you might do if you were really short of money or you were moving, maybe. What does PNW stand for? Pacific Northwest, I think. Pacific Northwest. Thank you. People are saying that. I think it stands for Pacific Northwest. You'd have to ask, I don't know her name. Is it Sam? Who has the channel? I'm guessing that's why you're asking. Okay. Okay. So, got rid of the furniture. Sarah was asked about changing her phone shortly following Michael's abduction. Sarah provided two reasons. Sarah said they sold the phones because she and Stacey were splitting up, and Sarah said they sold the phones because a demon told her to. So a demon told her to sell her phone. All right, the demon's in her head, i.e. the regrets and the fear that she's going to be arrested any day now. Any day now. Samantha, thank you. Any day now. That's what the demon in her head was really saying. She is the demon. Thank you. Yes, she is the demon. Sarah was still paying on the phones that she sold. Sarah was asked about her Facebook posts and provided the following responses. I literally had like a demon tell me that I need to leave my husband. Why? Because you couldn't stand looking at him for what you and he had done. I literally deleted all of my pictures. I have no idea of what my passwords are. Doesn't matter. Cops don't need them. We had a fight. My husband and I had to sell our phones and we had to get new phones and I can't access any of my stuff. It's okay. The cops can. So I do have Facebook, just don't have access to it right now. When asked about the vehicles Sarah and Stacey have, Sarah said the GMC pickup was repossessed. Sarah said she told Stacey when they heard the repo guys were coming to take the truck, we're going to be the nicest repo they've ever had today. Law enforcement was later told that the truck appeared to have been thoroughly cleaned prior to the repo. Of course it was. So these guys, they're covering their tracks, aren't they? These guys are paranoid and they're covering their tracks and they think they're going to be arrested any day now. Well, finally, that day came. October 30th was that day. Can they recover these sold items? They may have been able to. It's difficult to locate phones if you just, sold it to somebody for cash. Anyway, following the interview on November 15th, 2021, Brandon reported Sarah and Stacey convinced him, contacted him and told him that they were re-interviewed about Michael's abduction. Brandon said Stacey suggested Brandon come over to their place and create an alibi or write a letter on behalf of Sarah and Stacey saying that they were not involved in Michael's abduction. So he wanted Brandon to write a letter to tell the cops that Sarah and Stacey were not involved. Okay. Only Grand's member for 45 months. One of my golden oldies. Demons really projection. It's projection. It's absolutely projection. It's regret, self-hatred, fear, paranoia, all of those things rolled into one makes you believe that a demon's talking to you. It happens again and again and again and again in these people who commit these horrendous acts. Okay. Tina Morale, Brandon's shirtless mother, was interviewed by law enforcement. Tina reported that Brandon's behaviour changed after he lived with the Wanderers. Tina explained that Brandon became more depressed and withdrawn, spending more time playing video games and smoking marijuana. Tina would not tell law enforcement where Brandon was or what his phone number was at this time because she was protecting him. Why was she protecting him? A darling little son. Dear God. Thank you so much, H. Beth, for the $149 US. That's great. Thank you. So she's protecting him. Kay Ramsey, Sarah's mother. Right, these people have got very loving mothers, prepared to stand in their way of their demonic children. Kay Ramsey, Sarah's mother, was interviewed and shown a picture of the tricycle described above. Kay claimed she found the tricycle in some bushes prior to Michael's abduction. Okay. It makes you wonder why they had a tricycle. Well, maybe it was Sarah's mother who found it and then they decided just to keep it randomly. Who knows? The bushes that Kay described are near where Mr. Smith found the tricycle just after Michael's abduction. Kay said that would be the reason her DNA would be on the tricycle. Oh, so Kay's paranoid about her DNA being on that tricycle. Well, that's an implication of guilt, isn't it? That she knew stuff. If she's paranoid about her DNA being on the tricycle. Interesting. Kay said after all of their efforts, she left it at the intersection of Three Rivers and Southwest 8th. Kay was 73 years old in July of 2021, and the bushes were very difficult to get to. So she's lying. She's lying for her daughter. At the press conference in December 2022, when the 4 suspects were interviewed, and then he's also reiterated this at other times, that there are other people who know what happened to Michael. It's not just these 4 who know, it's other people who know as well. So I think Brandon's mother has knowledge, I think Sarah's mother has knowledge, and I think they are protecting their children. These absolute horrific, there's no words. I don't have a word to describe how horrible these people are. There isn't a word that adequately describes this type of person. Kay Ramsey also confirmed to law enforcement that Sarah and Stacey's dog had dug holes in the backyard of the Red Wing residence. Kay reported the dog had dug up what she later determined to be the ear of a green stuffed animal. Kay said she had thrown away the stuffed ear. So the dog is digging about in the yard and digs up part of a stuffed animal. Okay, so what can the dog smell underground? Remember how good a dog's nose is? Well, that dog, maybe, could smell its toy. The green toy was the dog's toy. Maybe the dog could smell the toy underground and wanted the toy back, so decided to dig up the yard to get it. I don't know. I'm just suggesting. Kay Ramsey is alleged to have withheld information and or evidence in other criminal investigations involving Sarah in 2022. Then Kay initially concealed a firearm used in an aggravated assault in which Sarah was later convicted. So her mother, Sarah's mother, has a habit of lying for her. So concealing a firearm for her. So what is she concealing in this case? When law enforcement met with Sarah on October 12, 2022, Sarah said God told her he was going to help her find the boy. During the interview, at the first mention of Michael, Sarah became emotional and broke down crying in front of the detective. Sarah wrote a testimony and said that if law enforcement read it, they would locate Michael. Sarah suggested God had forgiven Hitler for his sins, that God had redeemed Sarah for her sins. So she's equating herself with Adolf Hitler. All right, well, thank you so much, Mrs. Kojak, for the $5 US. I know this is hard on you and all your subs. There's evil in this world, and we see it right before us. We absolutely do. We absolutely do. In this case, and sadly, so many others. Thank you for the 5. Christy Kutch told detectives prior to Sarah's arrest she made a statement about Stacey being involved in the abduction of a 5-year-old boy. Nana Flower Power, thank you for joining or rejoining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So Christy Kutch, I don't know who that is, but Christy said she'd made personal notes about their conversation. In June of 2022, there was a recorded jail phone call between Sarah and Christy where Sarah advised that Stacey had been arrested. Christy asked if he'd been charged with the kidnapping of a 5-year-old boy. Sarah recanted her prior statements, claiming that Christy misunderstood her prior comments. Also mentioned how Sarah's dog was digging up large bones in the backyard. So the dog was digging up bones in the backyard. November 5th, 2022, at almost 1 a.m. So 5 to 1 in the morning. Stacey contacted Fruitland Police Department and requested an interview at the Washington County Jail. So remember, Stacey at this point is in jail on unrelated charges. Stacey provided vague details about the events surrounding Michael's abduction. So it was Stacey who rang Fruitland PD from jail on November 5th, 2022. Stacey said Sarah's religious beliefs and behaviours change started within a couple of days of Michael's abduction. After Stacey's arrest for an unrelated incident, Stacey spoke of changing phones and or SIM cards to prevent law enforcement to follow or profile him. November 10th, 2022, Stacey again asked to speak with Fruitland Police Department or detectives. Stacey wanted a deal. The same offer that was given to Sarah. in the Michael Vaughan case. So Stacey isn't getting an attack of the guilt and wanting to tell the cops everything. What he wants is a deal. Well, okay, you've not been arrested. How can you talk about a deal? That in itself is a sign of guilt. Stacey admitted the tricycle had been in his garage where Kim Elko had previously described seeing it. So Stacey's admitted the tricycle belonged in their garage. Stacey then said that when he first saw Michael, Sarah, and now it gets heavy after it gets really bad. It gets really bad from here, okay? Stacey said that when he first saw Michael, Sarah was carrying Michael into their home. Stacey said Michael was put in a duffel bag to transport him out of their home and to Brandon's house in Cuna. Stacey and Sarah were frantic, trying to figure out what to do, and Brandon interjected, "I have a duffel bag." Stacey described Michael as crying. To prevent him from moving or making noise, Stacey described how Sarah taped Michael using duct tape. When asked who put Michael into the bag, Stacey said Brandon grabbed the bag, gave it to Sarah. Sarah picked up Michael as Adrian helped hold the sides of the bag open as they shoved Michael into the duffel bag. So Michael's alive at this point. Stacey described Michael was wiggling, trying to get away. Stacey said he could see Michael in the bag with his knees bent up in the fetal position. While describing and demonstrating how Michael was taped and stuffed into the duffel bag in his living room, Stacey had a physical reaction and began violently vomiting. When asked if he was vomiting because of the chewing tobacco he was using, he indicated he was throwing up because of the stress of talking about Michael. So he was alive when they put him in the duffel bag. He died in that duffel bag. I don't know. I don't know whether I've ever seriously wanted or allowed myself to think of how Michael actually died. So when I first read that paragraph, I was just floored and furious and beside myself that they put him in, taped up in the fetal position in a duffel bag. Thank you, Kimberly, for the 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Got Daniel, Answer, Ashley, DC, and Dragonfly. Welcome you all. If you've never been a member before, please go and check out the members area. Okay, Stacey provided 2 reasons they stopped in the GMC at the corner of Southwest 8th and South Arizona in Fruitland. For Stacey to put power steering fluid into the vehicle, and so Brandon could check to see if Michael was still alive. Because Michael was bound with duct tape and stuffed into a duffel bag in the bed of the truck. So they carried Michael in the duffel bag in a truck 50 miles to Cuna, taped up in the fetal position in the back of their truck. Stacey didn't mention that little detail, did he? Stacey didn't mention that when he was doing the rounds on YouTube. Mentioned the power steering fluid. Didn't mention Brandon getting out to check to see if Michael was still alive. Stacey said he was able to hear Michael making noises like a dull scream. Stacey said they were worried about being seen because they saw a car parked off South Arizona. Stacey said they drove straight to Brandon's mother's house in Cuna, where Brandon grabbed both bags, a duffel containing Michael and a backpack, and went into the house by himself. Stacey said that once they arrived in Cuna, Michael was not making any more noises. and none of them had checked on him to verify if he was still alive. So he either died in the journey to Cuna or he died at Brandon's mother's house. Stacey said that Brandon told him he left Michael in the bag and put him in the spare room inside his mother's house, and they left him there. They then towed Brandon's car back to Fruitland. Stacey and said that Sarah, Brandon and Adrian went to Cuna the next day to get Michael. So they left him on his own in that bag in Brandon's mother's house, went home, did whatever, and then went back the following day to get him. Gutsy move, honestly. Or incredibly stupid move. What if the cops had set up a roadblock and were checking vehicles coming in? Obviously, they knew that there wasn't a roadblock, or else probably they wouldn't have done it. And carry on. Thank you for being a member for a month. It's incredibly sad. Incredibly sad. It's beyond words. It's beyond words. Just seeing it in writing like this. Stacey said they drove to Brandon's mother's house in Cuna, Idaho, where Brandon... Oh, I've read that. Okay. The three of them brought Michael's body back to their house in Fruitland. He stated he was inside. Brandon was on guard, and Sarah and Adrian dug the hole together. Brandon was on guard. Brandon was on guard. Stacey reported he did not previously report this information because he thought he would still get into trouble and because he was fearful of Sarah hurting him. In an interview, Stacey stated maybe he didn't report it previously because he was actually involved, because Stacey's a liar, as we all know, and he's implied that it was Sarah and Adrian and Brandon who hitched up the plan to put Michael in the duffel bag. So Brandon suggested the duffel bag, and then Sarah and Adrian stuffed Michael in the duffel bag. Sarah putting the tape on him, and then it was Sarah and Adrian that did the burying. So interesting that Stacey seems to have resolved himself of any form of guilt here, other than having the knowledge and not telling the cops previously. So I think Stacey's still lying. I think this is a lie. I think Stacey was involved. And I think they were all involved, because we'd been led to believe that Adrian wasn't there that night. As late as last week, I made a video saying I think Adrian has knowledge after the fact. He's an accessory after the fact, because the story that had been given to everybody was that Adrian was in, I think, Nampa, seeing his kid that night, and he wasn't there, but apparently he was, because he was taking selfies in the Wanderer's bathroom. Okay. In an interview, Stacey stated that Michael had a stuffed animal, some sort of a stuffed animal, I want to say like a dinosaur or monkey. What I saw was a monkey, looked like a green monkey. In one interview, Stacey advised the lime green monkey was a dog toy that he and Sarah gave Michael to keep him quiet while he was sitting on the couch in their living room. So they picked him up, took him into their house. What they were doing with this tricycle, who knows? But Michael was seen out on the street on this tricycle. They took him into their house. At what point did they decide to put him in the duffel bag? I don't know. But this all happened in quick succession. This all happened quickly because, if you think about it, Michael was seen on his street between 6:15 and 6:30. So at the very latest, he's still safe at 6:30. And then they were leaving the neighbourhood at 7:08 to go to Cuna. So this all happened in a space of 40 or so minutes. I think the cops know a lot more. I think we're seeing a lot of what the cops have, but I think there's still more that when we know everything, we'll go, that's why that happened, or that's why that happened. That kind of thing, that things will start to click into place. But I think this is plenty to show all of those people who believe that Stacey, Sarah, Brandon and Adrian are being wrongly accused, and this is another one where law enforcement are accusing the wrong people. In this case, that is absolutely not true. There is a lot of information here that is absolutely damning. Circumstantial, yes, but damning all the same. When you put the totality of all of this together, the fact that they've, like, Stacey's confessed, at least to, other people doing stuff that he knows, and just the way that they've been lying and they've been shady and just everything, put everything together, and you realize that these guys are factually guilty. Yes, constitutionally innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. But if this goes to trial, I have absolutely no doubt that a jury will convict these absolute monsters, and Idaho does have the death penalty. Chris, thank you for joining. Welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Thank you. All right. Additionally, Stacey stated that the idea to take a child to sell for money was Adrian's, and that they would get a $10,000 cut. So he's now stating that it was Adrian's idea to abduct a child. Down Under with Love, thank you so much for the $2.99 Australian dollars. Yeah, evil personified times 4. Absolutely. Stacey was asked if Sarah provided any direction throughout any part of this. Stacey said that Sarah asked him and Brandon to follow her lead, which was to take the kid. Stacey recalled that most of the conversation at the point was Sarah trying to figure out what they were going to do. Sarah asked Brandon, where should we put the body? I thought they were going to sell him. So they abduct a child, supposedly to sell him, and then very quickly murder him by suffocating him in a duffel bag with duct tape. What should we do with the body? And Brandon was like, well, you guys can take him over to my house and, well, deal with it. And that will buy us some time. Following his interview with law enforcement, Stacey called his mother, Tamara Johnson. Tammy, I think she's called, Tammy, from the Washington County Jail on a video visit. Tammy asked Stacey if Michael was alive. Stacey shook his head and said no, and said Sarah accidentally killed him. So putting duct tape over a child, just taping him up with duct tape, putting him in a fetal position in a duffel bag, that's considered accidental killing to Sarah and Stacey Wondra. Okay. Tammy asked how. Stacey said suffocation, and went on to say they buried him in a duffel bag. After his interview and phone call to his mother, Stacey wrote an apology letter to Michael's parents. I don't know whether that... and attempted to hang himself in his jail cell. But he was rescued by Washington County jail staff. So he tried to check out. Did Stacey? No, they're not going to let him check out. They want him to face justice. Although it would be nice not to have to share a planet with the likes of Stacey Wondra. This guy deserves to face the full force of the law. Keep him alive until the time comes for justice to be served. Keep the guy alive any way you need to. Put him in a straitjacket if you need to, but this guy needs to be alive to face justice. He should just plead guilty now. They should all just plead guilty now, not put the family They've put the family through enough. Stacey lied to Brandy's face on a live stream. Not that long ago either. Stacey lied to Brandy directly. I listened to it. I heard his lies. But yet, here he is in jail writing an apology letter and hanging himself. Yeah, coward. Absolutely. Absolutely. Carrie, thank you so much for the $9.99 US. Thank you so much. Unless the other inmates get hold of him. They need to keep him alive. What they do after conviction, what the inmates want to do after conviction, that's none of my business. But keep the guy alive to face justice, fair and square. Give him the trial with adequate and good defence and try them. Unless they want to plead guilty and not put the family through a trial, if they're going to carry on insisting that they're not guilty after all of this and they go to trial, a jury will see straight through them. I promise you that. I promise you that. It should be noted that during some part of Stacey's incarceration in the Washington County Jail, prior to his confession and directions to where to find Michael's body, Sarah was out of custody and living back at the house on Red Wing Street, as evidenced by her being there when law enforcement arrived to execute the search warrant. Sarah could have had the time and ability to move any evidence from the property without Stacey's knowledge. Yeah, so she gets out of jail. She knows Stacey's in jail. She thinks Stacey's going to talk, and they move the evidence. They move the evidence, i.e., they dig Michael up and put him elsewhere. So where is he? Because as well as pleading guilty and not putting the family through a trial, you need to tell them where his body is so they can bring him home. In June of 2022, Sarah called Kay Ramsey, it's her mother, from jail and spoke about spouses being able to testify against each other. In a recorded phone call from the Washington County Jail to Sarah, Stacey expressed concern that Sarah was going to turn on Stacey. So they're phoning each other. Do they not realise that jail phone calls are recorded? So they're phoning each other, saying, "You're not going to turn on me, are you? You're not going to turn on me, are you?" Sarah told Stacey, so all of this is recorded on jail phone calls. Sarah told Stacey she had already told her attorney that she wasn't going to turn on Stacey and that she wasn't going to testify against Stacey. Stacey then reassured Sarah he'd never testify against her. Oh, what he did, though, is he confessed. He confessed and said it was her that did it. As the search warrant was executed on the Wanderer's home on November 12, 2022, remember it well, Stacey described the exact location as to where to find Michael buried in the backyard of the residence. We've seen that. We've seen it on police body cam. It was released. Stacey talking matter-of-factly. I played it in a video just last week. Go and check it out. I'm not going to play it right here, but go and check it out. Police officer with body cam recorded it all. Stacey, as matter of fact as your life, going, oh, a little bit up there, turn to your left, just a little bit up there, under that pile. The area where their dog dug up part of the dog toy that they'd given to Michael to keep him quiet. Sarah Wondra, who was located at the residence at the time, was detained. As officers read her the search warrant, Sarah made several strange statements. Wow, that's a lot. I definitely didn't kill that boy. The Most High God already told me who did it. So, oh, wow, the Most High God told me that Stacey was the one who killed him and buried him in the yard of the Carsons' house. So that's the next door neighbour. She also said the Most High God told her Stacey was the one that killed him and he buried him. I honestly don't think Stacey buried Michael. Look, I'm not going to fat shame, but Stacey's a big lad, all right? I don't know how he'd handle a shovel. I think it's more likely Adrian or Brandon buried him, and one of them dug him up at Sarah's request. The Most High God just told me that Stacey was the one who did it. He wants me to make sure you understand and that I had nothing to do with it. Okay, so they did turn on each other. He said that Stacey buried him in the backyard by the shed. It wasn't actually Stacey who harmed the boy. Okay, was it you then? Was it you? As officers started to Sarah's residence, Sarah asked several times if the officers had found him yet. Idaho State Police and Ada County Sheriff's Office assisted with the execution of the search warrant at the Wanderer's residence, along with the 5 separate certified cadaver canines. 5 separate dogs. Certified cadaver dogs. Prior to officers digging in the backyard of the Wanderer's residence, cadaver canines were deployed and alerted in the backyard of 1102 Red Wing Street. A total of 5 certified cadaver canines were deployed, all 5 alerted inside the Wanderer's backyard in the approximate area of where Stacey claimed he witnessed Sarah and Adrian bury Michael. So put this together. Stacey directly on police body cam directs an officer over the phone to the exact spot where he saw, allegedly, Sarah and Adrian burying Michael. 5 cadaver dogs alert in that exact location, and the Wanderer's own dog had been digging in that location and dug up part of a dog toy. So the Wanderer's dog knew that he was down there. Now, whether the dog was digging because he could smell human remains or whether the dog was digging because he could smell his toy and he wanted his toy back because it had been buried, probably with Michael. But the dog was digging stuff up. So put all that together and what does it tell you? But Michael's not there now. So what does that tell you? They moved him. So where is he? Listen. These people just need the firing squad. Just get the guns out. I'll offer. Look, I'll offer. Right? I'll at my own expense, I'll travel to Idaho. Just give me a gun while I'm there. Give me a load of... I'll do it. I'll do it. I do not want to share a planet with these absolute evil monsters. Did they know the family? No, I don't think they did. Evil. Prior to excavating the backyard, law enforcement noted that there were several areas in the yard that appeared to have been filled in with dirt or resodded. Kay and Ed Ramsey, so Sarah's parents, reported they had filled in the areas of the yard where Sarah and Stacey's dog had dug holes. Yeah, well, my dogs dig, but they're not that persistent. But if the human remains buried in my backyard, or I went and buried their toys, I think they probably would be somewhat persistent. At various interviews after the disappearance of Michael Vaughan, Stacey asked what happened to him and Sarah's cell phone from July of 2021. Stacey and Sarah wanted to detract attention so we are not on the radar. And that was the reason they sold their phones. When asked if there was evidence of the crime on their phones, Stacey said there were text messages. Investigation revealed that the Wanderers changed their phones approximately 3 times in a 5-month period. So they kept talking to each other, didn't they? Shoot people based on dog alerts that recover no evidence, yikes. Not just for this. Come on, Mr. Tomato Head. You know me better than that. You know me better than that. This is the totality of all of this. Put it all together. Put it all together. These people are guilty. So, yeah, line them up. But what I would like first is for them to either plead guilty and take their punishment. I'd like this done lawfully. I'm not just going to go and raid the jail where they're living and shoot them in there. I'm not going to do that. I want this done lawfully and fairly with a defence, a good defence team. I want them to have all efforts afforded to them by law. So if they're not prepared to plead guilty, I want them to have a trial, a fair trial. I want a jury to hear all the evidence, and I want them to be convicted fair and square. At that time, then I'll quite happily fund my own plane ticket to Idaho. Just give me a gun. So, no, not yikes. No, we want this done properly. But the evidence that's here is very clear. Very clear to me that they all had a hand in this. They all know what happened, and I believe that others also know as well. I believe that Brandon's mother knows. I believe that Sarah's parents know, and they've covered for them. Thank you, Sherry, for the 10 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. American Horror Story. You're not kidding. You are not kidding. So they changed the phones 3 times in a 5-month period. Stacey described purchasing SIM cards to put in his cell phone to evade law enforcement. They think they're so clever, don't they? They think they're so clever. The judge might not even allow the dog alerts to be admissible. That's absolutely true. The judge might decide to throw out any manner of evidence. That's absolutely true. They might. But they found the Wanderers very quickly after Michael disappeared. We don't know exactly how. That's not included in here. Don't know exactly how. So the cops don't need the dog alerts. Dog alerts, in my opinion, are the cherry on the cake. The dog alerts tell a story. Do we need the dog alerts, though? No. Because there's so much other evidence. We've got phone data, we've got surveillance video, we've got neighbours' testimony. So we've got eyewitness testimony. Juries love that. Eyewitness testimony. We've got neighbours seeing Michael on his street at certain times. We've got the woman Dorothy seeing Michael on a tricycle on Red Wing Street at a certain time. So eyewitness testimony. They got plenty. We don't know what forensics they've got. I would guess that they don't have many forensics because the Wanderers changed their vehicle, changed their phones, and changed their furniture. So the tricycle might have DNA on it. If that tricycle has Michael's DNA on it, then in my opinion, it's game over. Because they'd have DNA evidence, they'd have eyewitness testimony, they'd have a bunch of circumstantial evidence. So even if the judge decided not to allow the dogs to testify, it doesn't matter. I promise you. Put this evidence in front of a jury and they'd convict these lowlives. They'd convict them. Listen, they convicted Richard Allen on a tenth of this evidence. So, yeah, there's that. Always hook in. Thank you so much for rejoining. Thank you. Yeah, they had them from the beginning. They did. They absolutely did. All right. The GMC pickup. We're nearly at the end now. We're on the last page. We're nearly at the summary. The GMC pickup was subsequently repossessed for non-payment. Stacey then called Kim's Cars, wanting the truck back or to borrow it. He also told them to hurry up and sell it. Stacey further advised that they sold the Lexus that they had at the time Michael was abducted. So they sold both of their cars. Do they have the tricycle? Yes. Yes, they found the tricycle. So if the tricycle has the DNA on it, it's game over. We don't even know whether they got the truck. Because if Kim's cars sold it, presumably Kim's cars would have a purchaser on file somewhere. So they might even have DNA from the truck. We don't know. Listen, law enforcement have kept a bunch of these details so close to their vest for the last 4 and some years. I am very confident that they have done an incredibly thorough investigation and they've got every little tiny piece of evidence that they possibly can. So it's very possible that they do have DNA evidence. I'm not saying they do. I'm saying it's very possible because they got the tricycle and they know where that truck was sold. So presumably it's possible to trace that truck. Presumably it wouldn't be massively difficult to trace that truck. Always looking, thank you so much for the $5 US. Not sure if you've covered this. I'm behind. When you get a chance, can you talk about dog tracking a victim in a vehicle? That's not in this. That's not in this affidavit. We're not suggesting that the dogs track Michael in a vehicle. But dogs can, possibly, if a person that they're tracking passes by in a vehicle, then at least for a short while, that scent is in the air as that vehicle travels. So that scent's going to fall on the ground and the dog's going to pick it up just as easily as they would if that person had walked by. Oh, so just in general. So I just have done. But yeah, because vehicles they're not airtight, are they? Obviously. So if you're in a vehicle and that vehicle has passed where a dog is tracking for a specific person, and that vehicle has passed by recently, then there's going to be scent in the air that's going to fall to the ground. It's going to pool in areas on the ground, and that dog is going to be able to track it just as easily as they will be able to track a person who walked by. So yeah. Okay. Where were we at? All right. Within a few weeks of Michael's disappearance, the Wanderers' iCloud data revealed Stacey and Sarah searched for rental houses in other states, financial assistance in different areas. So they were going to leave. They were going to leave. However, law had different ideas for them because they arrested Stacey on unrelated charges. They kept their eye on Sarah. They finally then arrested Sarah on unrelated charges. So they knew. The cops knew. The cops have kept this so well locked down, I think you would say. We only knew a fraction of this. And I think they've played a blinder. And I think if this went to trial, I think we'd be very impressed by this investigation. Now, no investigation's perfect. You know, there might be things that you think, oh, I wish they'd done that, or I wish they'd done that. No investigation's perfect, but this is looking very, very good. I think Fruitland PD, the FBI, the Idaho State Police, whoever else has been involved, I think they've worked incredibly hard behind the scenes for Michael and his family. And I think that they will do them justice in a court of law if Sarah, Stacey, and then eventually, assuming Brandon and Adrian are also arrested, when they face trial, if they plead not guilty and they face trial, then all of that hard work that the cops have done over the last 4 some years will pay off. In my humble opinion, I think there's more evidence than we've got here. But what's here, if this is the only thing they've got, I think this is enough. I think they've got enough. Okay, additionally, a photo of items boxed up was taken on July 30th, 2021, as they were preparing to move. Yeah, and they swooped in and arrested Stacey. So July 30th, 2021, that's only 3 days after Michael was abducted. So they were already boxing up items ready to move 3 days after Michael was reported missing. Let that sink in. In summation, Stacey confessed that the 4 members of the household, Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Brandon Shirtliff, and Adrian Lucien, were all involved in the abduction and killing of Michael Vaughan. Their home is in the neighbourhood adjacent to the home where Michael lived and was last seen. A neighbour, Dorothy Starkey, saw Michael riding a tricycle near the Wondra home at the time Michael went missing. The same tricycle was seen in the Wondras' garage prior to the abduction. The tricycle was discarded outside of the neighbourhood off a bluff after Michael went missing. Kay Ramsey, Sarah Wondra's mother, claimed to have found it and moved it to the entrance of the neighbourhood, which is refuted by the fact that another neighbour unrelated to the case claimed to have found it and placed it there. Kay's story also does not account for the fact that the tricycle was in the house before being discarded and before Michael went missing. Live scent tracker dogs were deployed, and the only house they showed an interest in was the Wanderer's house. The same dog showed interest in the area where Michael went missing from and the area where the tricycle was discarded. Based on the foregoing, your affiant is requesting that Stacey Wondra be charged with kidnapping and murder in the first degree, as well as the concealment of evidence. So 6/12/25. So this has been signed since June. Let that sink in. This has been signed since June. We're now in November. Now I think they've been holding off on these charging them because there's no rush. Thank you, Kels, for the $5 US. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because both Sarah, Stacey, and Brandon are currently serving time. Like the very day that Stacey was released, he was rearrested. So they knew they're not going anywhere. You know, they've got these guys banged to rights for other things, and they're going to keep them there. So there's no rush. Brandy's been very ill. Brandy's had a liver transplant, so I think they probably, possibly took that into consideration as well. And I think they're continuing to search for Michael's body. I think they were hoping to have Michael's body. But, you get to a point where Stacey is going to be released from federal prison and Stacey's on the loose. And we know that when Stacey's on the loose, what he does is he goes all over YouTube, and they probably thought, no more. We've got enough to charge him. Let's do it. The day that he's out, let's do it. And they did. So there you go. There is a separate document for Sarah Wondra as well. I'm going to go through and just check that there's nothing. I think there are a few wording changes. If I only had a cursory glance, putting the two together. I only had a cursory glance. But they're the same. I just want to double check Sarah's just to check that there's no details in there that's not in here. I think this one is the more detailed though. And this detail is horrific. It's absolutely horrific. It's really, really, really sad. And there's just no words, is there? There's just no words. It's just absolutely terrifying that these people exist. Well, this is who we're talking about. This little cutie here. This is who we've been talking about. How could they? How could they? He's a little angel. How could they? How could they? Thank you, Anastasia Cleveland, for the $10 US. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Do they have shirtless? Shirtliff? Yes, he's in jail on some charge or other. They've not charged them yet. Adrian and Brandon. I think they will. I think they will charge them. What a little cutie. Anyhow, I'm going to go before I can feel myself welling up. The fury. The fury is welling again. I think it's seeing Michael. I think it's looking at Michael and just looking at it, how innocent he is, how innocent every 5-year-old is. You know, and he was out there. It was a nice summer's evening. He wanted to play. And these monsters befriended him. And then very, very quickly, given the timeline we've got now, and I'm going to do a video with the timeline. You know me, I'm a timelines person. I'm going to separate video with the timeline. And they turned on him very quickly. From allowing him to play on the tricycle and giving him this toy to play with, it turned evil very quickly. And I just can't put into words how monstrous, how utterly monstrous these people were. Cash has been a member for 4 months. Hope my dogs are well. Yes, they are. Ella must have gone to sleep. She's not whined or anything since I took her down. He's in Canyon County Jail. I don't care where he is, as long as they know, as long as the cops know where he is. As long as they're keeping him safe. I want them all kept safe. I don't want anything to befall them. I want them to be kept safe. I want them to be housed fairly. And I want the justice system to do its thing. I want them to have a fair trial with a good defence. I want them to have a rigorous defence so that no one can come along at the end of the day and say that it was an unfair trial. I don't want that. I believe in due process. I want due process to be played out. And I want them to be convicted fair and square if they continue to say that they didn't do this. And I want a jury to convict them. And they will. They absolutely will. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I know this was heavy. This was really heavy. I didn't want to read this. I wasn't going to read this, but people have to know. People have to know. However horrendous it is to listen to, people have to know what Michael went through and what these monsters did to him. So that's why I'm here. Anyway, thank you so much to the mods, as always. We had Blissful gifting 5. Daughter of Scotland has been a member forever. We had Oni Grants, member for 45. We had a 149 from HBeth. We had a 5 from Mrs. Kojak. Nanflower was a new member. Kimberly gifted 5. Carry On has been a member for a month. Chris has been a new member. Down and with Love, $2.99 Australian. Carrie, $9.99. Sherry, thank you so much, $10. Always Looking, new member. Always Looking, 5. And Kells, thank you so much for the 5. Anastasia, thank you for the 10. And Cash has been a member for 4 months. And finally, Criminal Med has just hopped in, member for 18 months. All right, that's heavy. Just remember, if you come across people who believe that there's going to be some kind of big miscarriage of justice, just present them very calmly with the facts and say, look at what they've got. Explain why you still believe that these people are factually innocent. And look at that little face. Nobody deserves justice more than Michael Vaughan and his family. Brandy has been an absolute warrior for Michael and continues to be a warrior for Michael, despite recently having a liver transplant. And nobody deserves justice more than that family. And I truly believe that the cops have done every single thing they can. They've gone by the letter of the law. That's how it seems. The fact that they've been able to keep like details, close to their vest to protect the integrity of the investigation, and then they've released them when the time is right. And here we are. So thank you all. Please leave a like on the live stream before you go if you've not done so already. If you're watching in the bushes, please consider subscribing. I think I've got a little bit too far to go to get to my 100,000 subscribers goal by Christmas. I've got like 3,500 members to get, and we're now towards the middle of November. But anyway, I'll get there eventually. So please consider subscribing, and I'll see you very soon. I'm exhausted now. I'm going to go for a lie down. Bye, guys.